over 55 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by the Georgia Farm Bureau in association with Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College.
Well, good morning and welcome to an all-new, all-ag edition of the Farm Monitor. I'm your host, Ray DeLessio, holding things down this week while Jennifer Parson enjoys some well-deserved R&R. Needless to say, we've got a jam-packed show ahead dealing with the hard-hitting issues making headlines in agriculture. From trade tariffs and their potential impact on our farmers and consumers, to the get-together at the state capitol where Georgia Farm Bureau members lobbied for critical ag policies and disaster relief. Plus, we've got a couple of mouth-watering recipes that'll bring the flavors of the coast straight to your kitchen. It's all coming up right here, right now on the Farm Monitor. One of the key proposals from the new Trump administration is a 25% tariff on all imports from Canada and Mexico, two of the United States' largest agricultural trade partners. Our Damon Jones explores the potential impact these tariffs could have on both farmers and consumers if they go into effect.
With the agricultural trade deficit reaching a record high of more than $30 billion in 2024, sweeping changes are being discussed to get things back into balance. And chief among them is a possible tariff placed on goods imported from Canada and Mexico, which would impact one sector in particular.
Some parties may benefit and some may be hurt. So we have producers of fruits and vegetables in this country. To the extent that we put a trade barrier in place and prevent and raise the price of goods that are coming in from Mexico, say for fruits and vegetables, it might make fruit and vegetable products in the United States more competitive. And so that may actually raise the welfare of domestic fruit and vegetable producers.
As for consumers, potential price increases at the grocery store from these proposed tariffs might just depend on the time of year.
There's a different growing season for products depending on the country that they come from. And so right now, U.S. consumers are used to consuming fruits and vegetables year-round, but we have a specific season for growing those products in the United States. And so if we, limit the trade between the U.S. and Mexico, say, then it may make the price of the products that we import from Mexico higher seasonally.
This policy would also have an impact on the export market, as retaliatory tariffs would likely be the byproduct. However, those effects might not be long-lasting if the U.S. is able to cultivate new partners.
Domestic agricultural producers export quite a bit of what we produce. And so to the extent that tariffs overseas are put in place as retaliation to the tariffs that the United States is putting in place, then that can actually reduce the profitability, or the revenue that's able to be generated by those exporters. On the other hand, because these are bilateral tariffs, it may be the case that U.S. exporters can find alternative markets for their products. And so after a period of adjustment, it may be the case that prices even out.
That forced expansion might also be a net positive in the long term, as it would showcase American goods to other countries.
It may be the case that by learning we can expose consumers around the world to just how good U.S. agricultural products are. And so maybe if we're forced to, through policy, through tariffs, find alternative markets, then that may expand kind of the market access in the long run, especially if these tariffs aren't kind of put in place for a long period of time, if at all. So we potentially may see new markets opening to our goods.
However, there is also a possible downside to limiting trade with two of the largest importers of U.S. agricultural goods.
If other countries retaliate to our tariffs that we put in place, and they limit the supply of U.S. products that they purchase, well, then they may start to, and other countries around the world may start to invest in agriculture and start to produce products that compete with our exports.
Reporting from Athens, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
With the legislative session in full swing, Georgia Farm Bureau members hit the state capitol to share their priorities face-to-face with lawmakers. It's all part of an annual tradition that puts their influence on display. As John Holcomb explains, the timing couldn't have been better for Georgia agriculture.
Recently in Atlanta, Georgia Farm Bureau showed off its grassroots strength as nearly 600 members attended this year's GFB Day at the Capitol event. an annual gathering full of advocacy, education, and fellowship between members and their legislators.
As a true grassroots organization, that is what we're here for. We're connecting the constituents and our members back home with their elected officials so that they can hear directly from the experts what kind of hurdles they're having to deal with on the farm. And there are thousands of bills that get introduced every year. They cannot be experts on every topic. So they rely on not only the folks that represent organizations, but especially when we can bring the members here directly so that they can hear from them.
Of course, the timing of the event couldn't come at a better time, as there are several ag issues being discussed this year, the main one being Hurricane Helene relief, like increasing funding for the Safety 24 low-interest loan program that would put money into farmers' pockets.
The Georgia Development Authority is overseeing the Safety 24 low-interest loan program. So one of the things we're doing is advocating for more funding to be made available through that loan program. So that low-interest loan offers producers a loan at 2%, which is well below market rate right now. Helps get them some cash quick as they begin the rebuild process and prepare and plan for this coming up growing season.
Another huge Hurricane Helene relief measure comes with House Bill 223. A bill that aims to provide relief to the 66 counties under disaster declaration. First and foremost, it would exempt state income tax on federal disaster assistance. Second, it would create a reforestation tax credit for all trees in the commercial production of timber, food, or wood products. Lastly, it would provide a sales tax exemption for building materials for poultry houses and livestock barns. All things Bellflower says would be great for the ag sector, but says they're still working to find other helpful relief measures.
There's some other ideas in the chambers right now of what we can do to build on the work that's already happening. So we're working with members to try to see what the best path forward is, just to provide relief for our folks.
Another big issue being worked on this year is tort reform, as insurance premiums have undeniably gotten out of control, which has left small businesses, farmers, and their operations in a vulnerable position.
What we're seeing is it becoming more and more expensive to get insurance, access to insurance for some of these people that carry really high liability coverage for different things, whether that might be commercial trucking, different businesses in general, and really on all Georgians, it's driving up the cost of doing business, and it's driving up the cost for just everyday insurers to keep that coverage that they need. But overall, the goal of that is to drive down the cost of doing business and to ease a burden on Georgians that are really just constantly getting hit with skyrocketing insurance rates, small business owners, farmers that are constantly at threat of a lawsuit.
Reporting in Atlanta for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Up next, whether you're a fan of seafood classics or craving something new, you're going to love this. From creamy, savory shrimp and grits to crispy, flavor-packed shrimp tacos, this is one meal you won't want to skip.
Hey y'all, the Georgia General Assembly has convened again in Atlanta, and because Georgia Farm Bureau is the voice of Georgia farmers, we at the state capitol every day standing for farming families across the state, just like we've done since 1937. Our mission in Georgia Farm Bureau is to work with elected officials by ensuring farmers are able to produce exceptional products that feed families in Georgia and around the world. Our commitment has always been to the producers in our state, enabling them to provide safe, fresh food and fiber that we all need to survive. Thank you for supporting Georgia Farm Bureau, and if you're not a member, consider becoming one now by scanning the QR code you see on your screen or visit gfb.org and look for the Join Today button. Thank y'all again.
Well, if you like shrimp and grits, this episode is for you. If you like shrimp tacos, this episode is for you. If you really, really like Dr. Tracy Brigman, then this episode is for you because she is back for another episode of Meals from the Field. Good to see you again, Tracy.
Good to see you.
So yes, shrimp tacos, shrimp and grits, a Georgia staple, really both of them. And you got a little twist to them, I guess?
A little bit, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
So we're gonna start with the shrimp and grits. And I have my grits going because they take about 30 minutes to make. So I bought stone ground grits. This is not a good recipe to have with instant grits. So follow the package directions on whatever grit you get. I'm gonna need about 4 cups of cooked grits, not raw grits, but cooked grits, so that it would give me 4 servings. So I have my grits going. I'm gonna keep an eye on that, stirring it every once in a while I'm making the shrimp part.
Okay.
So we'll put that to the side. On my stovetop here, I have 1 pound of mild Italian sausage. You can get sweet, you can get hot Italian sausage, but I've cooked it till it's brown, as you can see. And I soaked up some of the oil with a paper towel because I didn't want it too greasy. So once you have your Italian sausage browned off, I want to add 1/3 cup of chopped onion. And you can make the pieces as big or small as you want. Chopped is normally, just a rough chop. And then that is 1 teaspoon of freshly minced garlic. Okay, so I'm gonna cook this. I have this cooking over medium heat, and I'm gonna cook it for about 5 minutes until the onions really start to get translucent, so you don't have raw onions in your shrimp and grits. So you can see now that this is cooked for about 5 minutes. My onions are nice and translucent and well cooked. So now it's time to add the shrimp. So that is 2 pounds of peeled, deveined shrimp. And these are large shrimp. I think they were 31, 35 count. And that count equates to how many shrimp in a pound. Okay. So I'm gonna cook these until they're nice and pink, about 8 to 10 minutes. All right, so my shrimp has been cooking for about 8 minutes. You can see it's nice and pink and completely cooked. And now we're gonna make like a little gravy for it. So this is 1/3 cup of self-rising flour that we're gonna sprinkle over the top. And I'm gonna be careful as I stir so that I don't make a mess. This is gonna create some thickening for our gravy. All right, so once I get my flour mixed in, I need to add some liquid to make a gravy. So that's 1 cup of beef broth. I made it from bouillon, and then I have 1 cup of water. So I'm going to stir that in, and I'm gonna let that cook for about 5 minutes. Again, we're still on medium. I want that flour to give a chance to thicken the gravy, so about 5 minutes. All right, so as you can see, this is boiled for about 5 minutes, and the sauce or gravy has thickened a little bit, and that's the point where we want to be at. So we're just gonna finish off with some finishing touches and seasonings. That's a tablespoon of Worcestershire.
Gently
Pour
it over. I got yelled at because I threw
dumped
everything
my
on
flour instead of sprinkled. And then this is 1 teaspoon of Cajun seasoning. If you want that little bit of kick, which I like with the shrimp and grits, if you want to leave that out, that's not going to make it or break it. So it looks like everything is well mixed. So I'm going to turn the heat off, and then I'm simply going to build my grit bowl.
So now we move on to the shrimp tacos, and I've got my tools of the trade.
That's right. We got to do some measuring.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a little bit of I guess you could call it a marinade. We're going to soak our shrimp in some milk. So I have 1/2 cup of whole milk that I'm going to pour into a bowl. And then I need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then I need a teaspoon of oregano and a teaspoon of paprika. And a teaspoon of garlic powder.
Teaspoon of garlic powder.
And I'm just gonna simply mix that together. And then for this one, I bought extra large shrimp. When I do shrimp tacos, I want a little bit bigger shrimp so I can bite into it. And I'm just gonna put that in this mixture, stir it around a little bit so that they're all coated. And then I'm going to let that sit for about 10 minutes. Let that flavor soak in. While the shrimp is sitting, we are going to make some coleslaw as a topping for our tacos. So our shrimp is soaking in the milk and seasoning mixture, so we're gonna make our coleslaw so that also gets a chance to soak and develop some flavors. So we're gonna start with a cup of mayonnaise. And then we have 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar that we're going to mix in. And then we have 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder. And in our Cajun theme, we have a teaspoon of Cajun seasoning. Again, you can leave that out if you don't want that kick. That's 1/2 cup of sugar. I have a tablespoon of garlic powder. And then this is 1 small onion that I chopped up fine. So we're gonna mix that. This will be our flavoring for our coleslaw mix. So you need a total of 3 cups of vegetables. So I broke mine into 1.5 cups of green cabbage that I shredded. And then that's 1 cup of purple cabbage that I shredded. And 1/2 cup of carrots that were shredded. So once I have this all mixed together, combined well, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator next to the shrimp and let it marinate while I am frying my shrimp. Okay, so our shrimp has been marinating in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes, and now we want to make the breading. And I like to do this in a bag so I can shake it up instead of a bowl, because I seem to make a mess when I stir. Also, if I don't cook all of my shrimp, it's already ready to stick in the refrigerator. So this is 1 cup of all-purpose flour, and then that is 1 teaspoon of salt, and that's 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of paprika. And then once it looks like it's mixed, I'm going to add my shrimp and mix that around. Then once my oil gets good and hot, we're going to fry the shrimp up. And once I have my shrimp fried, we're going to build our taco. So we'll have some shrimp, we'll have some coleslaw, and then we're going to top it with some chopped tomatoes and some avocado, and you'll have a delicious shrimp taco.
So shrimp tacos, shrimp and grits, 2 very, very simple recipes to make. Recipes you can find by logging on to farm-monitor.com, going up to the top of the recipe section, clicking on that recipe, and again, Tracy sends us that stuff every single month. It's in detail for you, so you can't go wrong. And we've had a lot of compliments on your recipes already, so keep it up.
All right, well, thank you. I try.
So keep it
I
up.
like to cook.
Yes, so again, Tracy, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, but whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we are time traveling into the future. After the break, we're going to explore why succession planning is key to preserving a farm's legacy.
This is my favorite part of the day, where I get to feed the miniature therapy horses. These horses have a very important job. They go to hospitals and work with veterans, children. They're invaluable, and the Maremas really are the guardians. They make sure that they have a healthy, safe life here on the farm. Sirius may not look like every farm dog that you come across, but he's still a very special dog. Sirius is a Maremma livestock guardian dog, and it's about a 2,000-year-old breed. The breed is intended to bond with the herd, so it's really in their blood. We can see that in Sirius. When these dogs are on alert and watching the herd, we know they're safe. I feel like it's a 24/7 security system that's on the farm. Our mission is to serve the community. We've been doing this for 27 years. We were called up to be at Sandy Hook after the tragedy there. We worked with families and first responders after the Pulse nightclub tragedy. I feel like it's a very special role. If you can bring a smile to someone's face, whether it's a first responder or a family who's lost a child, it's giving them permission to laugh when they're going through something you can't even imagine. So I think to be able to offer that, we couldn't ask for a better thing to do with our lives. Every farmer is proud of the animals on their farm. All animals are different, and you feel like your farm is special, and certainly feel that way about our farm. Having the Maremas, having Sirius come on the property and do the job that they do makes us feel like we can go forward. I feel great about the farm being safe, and I feel very proud about the Maremas, of what Sirius is doing and how he's protecting these very special little creatures.
Finally this week, succession planning. Once an afterthought, it's now crucial to preserving the legacy of hard work that built so many farming operations across the country. With many farmers nearing retirement, having a solid plan has never been more important. John Holcomb takes us to Floyd County, where an expert explains how proactive estate planning can safeguard the future of family farms.
According to experts, in the next 15 years, around 70% of land ownership is most likely to change hands as an aging generation starts to retire. That, of course, can be a catalyst for uncertainty, especially for the preservation of agricultural land and family farms, which is why having a succession plan can be so important.
In your lifetime, you typically accumulate stuff, and when you die, the idea is, where's your stuff going to go? Is it going to go to the people I care about and love? Or what's going to happen to it? Is it going to end up in the hands of the government via taxes? Is it going to end up with somebody I don't care so much about? And so the process of estate planning puts documents in place that dispose of your stuff at the time of your death. And so in one sense, it's an insurance policy where you put the documents in place and you have the peace of mind of knowing that there is a plan for what is going to occur.
According to Bojo, the process doesn't have to be a difficult one. As he says, it's just a matter of asking and answering questions that are important to you and the legacy that's been created.
When you work hard your entire life, you have something of a legacy that you've created, and there are ways to preserve that legacy. And putting something into place, going through a plan, having questions asked and answered about what would happen if you were to pass away in a sudden disaster or live the rest of your days out, what's going to happen with your legacy? What have you created over all these years? What values do you hold that are important? Do you want your grandchildren, great-grandchildren to be on this land? Do you care whether your children keep this land or not? There's no wrong answer, but knowing the answers are important.
Bojo says the most important part of succession planning is being proactive, no matter how long the process takes. As he says, diligently working to think out a plan and communicating that to loved ones often makes the process easier for everyone.
It needs to be a natural conversation, not something that's forced. And so many times the patriarch or matriarch just needs to sit down and thoughtfully and prayerfully think, what do I want to do? What do I want to have happen after I die? And then part two to that would be communication. That's the key to the kingdom. It's, whether that's a formal sit down with everybody at Thanksgiving, or whether it's a one-on-one conversation with each child, there needs to be communication. But it all begins with just taking the time to proactively just think about what I want to do. And that could be a 6 month to a year, one whole season it may take. But there's no deadline or timeline. It's just taking the time that you need to take to get to where you want to go.
Reporting in Rome for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Before we go, friendly reminder that for all the latest ag news regarding food, recipes, and what's happening on Georgia farms, be sure you check out all of our social media platforms, including farm-monitor.com. On behalf of everyone here at the show, thanks for making our jobs fun. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor. Stay safe. Have a fabulous week.